silence.
Flag on the play if you're not subscribed to Von Allen Sports. But once you are, we'll make it up to your team in the fourth quarter. You're watching Von Allen Sports, real and honest NFL analysis. Subscribe now and join the empire. Von Allen Sports, let's go.
If you're not watching Von Allen Sports, fuck you.
Von Allen Sports. Von Allen Sports.
Von Allen Sports on Patreon. Fuck you. I'm joining.
Von Allen Sports.
What is up, guys? Let's go. We got this horrible Monday Night Football game going on right now. I'm so sorry. I apologize. I apologize for all of you out there in the world who have to watch this garbage. I'm watching it for you. Well, I'm kind of watching it. It's a shitty matchup. I don't know why anybody would schedule this. Whatever, dude. But, yeah. There it is. So, a completely meaningless game. Doesn't matter. Whatever. At least this will make it more bearable if we have some things to talk about. And, you know, I had a lot of opinions over the weekend, and instead of just typing everything out forever, I just thought, you know, it would just be easier just to talk to everybody and just really, you know, discuss this stuff, especially on a boring Monday night game. So at least we've got something going on. And, yeah, so here we are. But this scheduling has to be correct, because no one, even before the year, thought that the Bears versus the Vikings would matter. Okay? Like, that would never. Why would you ever schedule that? You know? It's just ludicrous. But anyway, so we have a few things I want to talk to you guys about. Firstly, we have the contest. The contest is officially over, and we have a winner. So the Xbox contest, quarterback contest, was between Elf of Courage and John Thomas Chavez, and they both picked what I thought were very good, you know, reasonable choices. It was very clear that Matthew Stafford should be able to, you know, do a lot against the Arizona Cardinals defense there. And I thought but where I was wrong is I thought that game would be high scoring. I figured the Cardinals would be able to put up some more points. So I thought it'd just be a high scoring affair back and forth. Of course, Matthew Stafford was good for his usual interception, pick, turnover, whatever, you know, any kind of turnover. He was good for that. But he had so many touchdowns that it didn't matter. He threw for 4 touchdowns. So his ratio was a +3. So he had a 4-to-1 touchdown to turnover ratio. John Thomas Chavez did not fare as well. Lamar Jackson just did not perform. And this is another point I'm trying to tell people, and I've been talking about for a few years now, is that Lamar Jackson he's missing something. He's missing that ability to go on when everyone's watching, you know, everything matters. Like this game was an important game to really just destroy a team, and just everyone's watching Sunday Night Football. Just take this Chargers team and just absolutely annihilate them, you know. And even though the Ravens are good, I don't know. I expected more from Lamar Jackson, and not just this game. I mean, in general, I just don't think he's the guy that we all hope he could be. That is able to basically blow out the Chiefs in the playoffs, to where the deciding factor isn't a call here and there, which we know is generally something that happens. So he just doesn't have it. There's just something there. I mean, anyway. So the AFC is basically, it's almost as if everything is just wide open for them. I wonder how that happens. That happens sometimes, doesn't it? It makes me think of something when that happens. So, yeah. But anyway, so I wouldn't expect or get excited about the Ravens doing anything about that. So, but most importantly, that wasn't enough, obviously, and to go up against Matthew Stafford. So in the quarterback contest, so Elvin Courage is the champion, the second year in a row that he has won it. So he is actually our first champion ever. First time we were done this contest was last year, and now he's the only person to ever win it. He's won it 2 straight years in a row. So congratulations, Elvin Courage. Great job, man. Great job. I really appreciate the effort you put in, and I saw how you were, getting prepared each week. You always had a quarterback ready immediately. You knew what stat, if you got which stat, you would know which player you wanted to go with or which quarterback you want to go with, and that's very cool. That's clearly part of why you won here. So. In my opinion, a huge part. I just don't think that you can win this contest letting the dice pick your quarterbacks and just it randomly. I don't think that would work. But keep in mind, not everybody who has entries into the contest, that doesn't mean that they entered the contest. What it really means is that they are supporters of On Sports, and they're just supporting the channel, and they happen to have entries. I have several people who have entered or who have are on Patreon who are supporting the channel every month. They don't even know they're in the tournament. I send them messages and tell them, but they don't even know. Like, they don't even know that they're in it. They're just automatically entered into it, because they have the tier there on Patreon. So. It's up to you to if you want to win it and take it seriously. That's fine. But I'm not going to dog anybody or be on anyone's case for not winning, because that's not exactly the motivation here. The motivation of the tournament is to keep the channel going and to make this worthwhile, where I can do more stuff like this instead of having to do other things, which in order to pay things, obviously. That's just how it works. So people have different varying reasons why they support the channel. So, but congratulations, Elva Courage, again on your victory. And I saw that you sent a super chat on Rumble. So let me grab that real quick. Okay, so Elva Courage sends a $2 super chat from Rumble, and he says, "I'll go ahead and take another Xbox Series S. Going to give it to someone as a Christmas present." Okay, well, that sounds great. So, we'll get that sent out to you in time for Christmas. So, congrats. That's awesome. I noticed that some people said that they not interested in Xbox. Well, that hurts my feelings. I hope you are interested in Xbox, because I have an Xbox, and if you have an Xbox too, that means we can be friends on the Xbox Live network and play games together and stuff like that. I mean, I don't play games that often, but I will, of course, do that if any of the Patreon members want to do that. Of course, I'd be happy to do that. So that'd be fun. I don't have a PC. I have a Mac. I'm a Mac person. I always have been my whole life. I've had PCs before as like for a specific task. This was probably like years and years, probably like 15 years ago, but not anymore. Not since Mac started issuing the parallel system where you can, if you need to run a Windows software, you can just turn on Parallel. So you don't really need a PC, I guess. But so let me see who's all here before we get started. Because every single time, I don't know what the deal is, but every single time we start a stream, it takes about 10 minutes before people start getting it. So, maybe it's just people see the thing, but they're not just going to immediately click on it. They're probably doing something, and maybe they're like, oh, I'll go turn on here in a few minutes. And maybe that's what's happening. But can you guys click the like button? We've got 17 viewers and only 9 likes, and that will also help getting the algorithm to pick up the show. So first we got Israel. Israel says, by the way, how do I enter the tournament? And then, yeah, you're already in Israel. You were already signed up on Patreon. Gord King, what's up? Oh, I love your new logo, man. Nice. Blind Assassin. Let's see here. Gord King needs to have me on his channel so I can tell everybody how all of the movies and TV shows that piss me off and I don't like. Just let me, dude, here's what Gord King needs to do. He needs to just have me on the show and just press play and just let me go off on everything that I hate about TV shows and movies and all the ones I don't like. And then that will just be, you just record it and then let me just completely go ape shit on all that. I think that would be therapeutic for me, actually. So. I can, I can tell you about the stuff I like, but stuff I don't like. I can also tell you how Marlon Brando is the most overrated actor possibly of all time. So we can get into that if you want. Who knows? So Ace, what's up, man? You guys talking about tanking? Are you? I'm assuming we're talking about the Patriots here. So yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah, I fear that Lamar is just not. He's not the hero we need him to be, is he? So, too bad Jalen Hurts is in the AFC or the NFC. That'd be nice. Only one AFC team has beaten the Colts, Alpha Courage says. Are we going to see an Elvish dynasty? We might. He just needs one more. He just needs one. And he doesn't even need to win the next one. He can win the one after that. And it will work. So... Yegar Thorne, what's up, man? I'm just catching up here, guys. Okay. Gord King says, hey, I'm working on a live show concept. Don't worry. Okay, sounds good. Godfather is the most overrated film of all time. I can't stand that fucking movie. I just can't. I've tried to watch it. I can't understand Marlon Brando. I don't know what the fuck he's saying. You have to like read the entire movie if you want to watch the subtitles. It's boring. I constantly found myself bored. It's overrated. It's just overrated stuff. I mean, there's so many things like that. There's so many movies throughout history that are, critically acclaimed and stuff. And I'll tell you what, when a movie comes out in the theaters, if I see that it's got raving reviews, not from humans, not from regular people, actual people, but from the companies, the critics and all that write for the papers and stuff, if they give it like a 90% or something, I'm fucking terrified. Okay, I am terrified. I'm like, whoa, okay, that's not good. So if they give it a good rating, you have to check with the general public. The general public will tell you if a movie is good or not. That is your best bet to find a movie that is actually an enjoyable movie. I don't go into the movies to watch something that's all like uppity and I have to go and sit in a coffee shop the next morning and talk to my little uppity friends and about, oh, I love the director. He was so brilliant. Did you see the way his cinematography just went up there? It's like, shut the fuck up. Okay. Now I want to watch a movie. I want to be transported into a different universe. Okay. For two hours, I don't want to think about anything. Okay. I just want to enjoy this. It doesn't mean that I don't like movies that make you think, but movies that make you think can also be enjoyable. Not all movies that make you think have to be just nothing but you actually having to like go into it and stuff. That's what documentaries are for. That's what, reading books are for, things like that. There are deep movies. There are great deep movies that are also fun and, apply across the board to other people. But movies like Godfather suck, absolutely suck, which means I've never seen the sequels. Let's see. Fucking Gone with the Wind. Yeah, that I was out of that in 10 minutes. Yeah, I think probably the most overrated movie of all time. I don't know if I said it was the most. Godfather's not the most overrated. The most overrated movie of all time is a movie called Citizen Kane. Good luck getting through that pile of dog shit. Okay, so yeah, there's like a lot of those movies that have that effect. Yeah, there you go. I don't. Boy, you could if you bring up like movies that are very famous, I've probably got an opinion about one or two of them. So let's see here. Morrowind, what is that? Oh, that's a game. Never mind. Yeah. I know. That's Elder Scrolls. I thought you were talking about a movie. Okay, so So if you guys don't know, the Patriots lost again. That seems to be a consistent thing here. So 2-9 now. I never thought in a million years that we'd ever be 2-9. I was talking to the Red Coat last night, and he had sent me a schedule that he had printed out on his computer before the season, and he's got this schedule next to his office computer, and he sent it to me like back in August, I think, and he wrote down all of the games and the wins, losses, and what the outcome would be, and he put us at around 10-7, I think it was. And I agreed with him. I said, I wrote back and I said, this looks legit, I said, if we can't go 10-7 with Bill O'Brien coming back as offensive coordinator, then we might as well just end the team. We might as well just move the team and give Honolulu, Hawaii, an NFL team or something. Call it the Honolulu Pineapples or whatever, right? So nobody could have anticipated that 2-9. 2-9, guys. 2-9 is so bad. That is like late 80s, early 90s Patriots bad. Like bad. Okay? I can tell you this. When I was a kid, there was a game called Tecmo Bowl on Nintendo, regular NES. And anytime you'd pick a team, if me and my friends would get together and we'd have like Tecmo Bowl tournaments. And as a punishment, like for sucking, as a punishment, we would make somebody play with the Patriots. Like you had to be the Patriots as a punishment because they were so awful. They were just an absolute joke. That's the level that the current Patriots are at right now. They're at that level. That bad. Okay, we're talking Detroit Lions bad. We're talking Cleveland Browns bad. 2-9. You have to really think about it within its context. What great coach, legendary coach, is 2-9? I mean, honestly, we're talking about a guy. What kind of coach? I mean, I'm sure it's happened somewhere, but I'm certain that a good, legendary coach probably had a stint where they were just bad. Okay. Off the top of my head, I bet you it probably happened to Chuck Noll of the Steelers. It probably happened to Tom Landry of the Cowboys. Guys like that. It happening before you're great doesn't count, obviously, but I'm only referring to it happening after you're great. It's very difficult to do, to win that much and be so legendary and then be 2-9. That is awful. That is absolutely awful. And there isn't a lot of things that I have left for Bill Belichick as far as respect goes. I have some respect still. There's some respect with what they accomplished over the 20 years. There's a lot more to the game than just being a quarterback, obviously, and we all admit that. We all know that. But there's other things that have to be done. There's decisions that have to be made. But in that respect, if we're going to give him credit for some things, there's also times where he's been the driving force of a loss, and bad decisions. So his bad decisions have led to times where we didn't have home field advantage, or we missed something, or something changed. Then there's times where he gets saved. He himself gets saved. For example, 2018. 2018 was when Gronk was put out there to defend what he thought was a Hail Mary. It's like you thought that was going to be a Hail Mary? You thought Ryan Tannehill was going to throw the ball 80 fucking yards? That wasn't going to be a Hail Mary, dude. Why are you I understand putting Gronk out there for a Hail Mary, for a ball that's going to be launched from the 50, okay? Or your own 40 maybe, okay? So I get that. But it was pretty obvious that they were going to, do the whole bullshit, lateral thing. So you put Gronk out there as last line of defense. That was stupid, and that ruined the ability to have home field throughout. Luckily, you have the greatest quarterback of all time to get them into Kansas City and to get out of there, where he converts on 3 third downs in a row, which is ungodly and ridiculous, considering the circumstances and where he was. And they were trying to shine a laser in his eyes. No, they did shine a laser in his eyes. Still wasn't enough to stop the GOAT, the Terminator. All right. So then he did his job in the Super Bowl. So he was redeemed. But there's been years where that didn't work. There's been years where that had costed us. There's been Super Bowls where Tom did more than any quarterback should have to do. and still lose. And then there's times where, yeah, you could go either way, because you could say, like, there's been times where, all right, well, the defense couldn't stop anybody, but Tom could have put up more points. So then you do that. I'm mainly talking about the Eagles Super Bowl. That's probably the most egregious thing I've ever seen him do. And that's where I have problems with him. I also have problems with the Jimmy Garoppolo situation, where he sent Jimmy to the 49ers for nothing and didn't get a first-round pick that could have been used to give Tom Brady an amazing weapon on offense that probably would have, kept Tom maybe there past 2019 if it's a guy he really likes, and would have been the difference. Could have been the difference in 2019, and because that whole situation was just bad. But imagine if they had in 2019 a pick. Let's say they get a good rookie in the 2018 draft, and you got him, and then they win the Super Bowl anyway. Maybe they even put up more points against the Rams than that, but still they won. So that we don't even care about that. That doesn't matter. 2019 comes around, and then they would have that guy there, and maybe things are a bit different. So he always said that he was going to do what's best for the team. That's what Belichick always said, what's best for the team. He says that. That's his thing. That's what he always says. When people say, why did you get rid of so-and-so? Why did you send him there? Why did you do this? Why did you do that? I'm always going to do what's best for the team, okay? He said that when he got rid of Lawyer Malloy. So he got rid of Lawyer Malloy after the 2002 season, and he said that what's best for the team. Remember, he said that, and he's very adamant about it. The team was pissed off, but it worked out. Okay, it worked out, so that's fine. We didn't argue. We're like, okay, we get it now. We see what happened here. So over the years, he's done things like that. He got rid of Richard Seymour. I can't say that worked out, because we never won a Super Bowl during that time frame when he did get rid of Richard Seymour. But he did let Logan Mankins leave in 2014, at the beginning of the 2014 season. We're in the off season between 2013 and 2014. I didn't think that was too big of a deal. I didn't like Logan Mankins. I thought he was a douche, and I didn't think that he wanted to win. I think he's one of those guys that it's just money, 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 money. So I didn't care too much about that. And then they went and won the Super Bowl. I know a lot of people were second guessing that one. And then we always get behind him, right? So he does these things over and over and over again. But where was that? Where was what was best for the team? How is what's best for the team sending Jimmy Garoppolo to the 49ers for nothing, for second-round pick? How is that? How is that what's best for the team? The Cleveland Browns were offering a first-round pick, and it was going to be a high pick because they suck. All right? So what were you doing? What were you doing? How can you say that you do what's best for the team? That's not what's best for the team. It's good for Jimmy. You did a solid for Jimmy, but if you're going to do a solid for Jimmy, what happened to the solid for all the other guys? What happened when Tom Brady would give up money to keep his guy Wes Welker, and you still wouldn't up the amount against Denver? Welker took less guaranteed money to go to Denver just to not play for you. But if you would have added on an extra $1 million, he would have stayed and just toughed it out. But Tom gave up money to do that. He restructured his contract to do that, and you still let him go. Okay, well, we got behind him, said, well, that's Belichick, and Belichick we trust, blah, 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 blah. Okay, fine. He brings in Amendola. It doesn't have an immediate reaction, actually. Edelman emerges, and that ends up being the thing. Amendola ends up being a factor later, but it's not an immediate impact there. But he gave Amendola a lot of money. He gave similar money to, it was almost Welker money. So, Tom was like, what the hell, right? But we got behind him. We said, okay, and Belichick we trust, whatever. So if you're going to do a solid for Jimmy and send him to the 49ers instead of sending him to Cleveland Browns, okay, fair enough. But where was that for the other guys? Where was that for the guys in the past who had been good Patriots, who did the Patriot way, and then you just let them go? So which is it? I need to know. I need to know, are we doing the Patriot way, what's best for the team, or are we doing solids for guys and doing stand-up things for the dudes? Okay, which one? We know for a fact that the Jimmy Garoppolo situation was a fuck you, all right? And that's straight up what it was. And he did not do what's best for the team. He needed Jimmy to go and succeed so he could say, I told you so. That was fucking ego. That was ego that did that right there. All right? If he sent Jimmy to the Cleveland Browns and he sucked, then everyone would say, oh, see? Jimmy wasn't the one. But if he sends him to the 49ers and they produce and they actually do well, they win a Super Bowl, then he can say, ha ha, see, I was right. Because at the same time, he's expecting Tom Brady to fall off. That's what he's expecting. So he's expecting simultaneously that Tom Brady is going to start to suck badly, and then Jimmy is going to be at the 49ers playing well, and then he looks like a genius. All right? That's what that was. Let's just be honest here. We all know, knowing what we know now and the information we have today, we know that was the deal. That's what the thinking process was. Okay? All right. So you got these things going against you in my mind, if you're Belichick, as far as I'm concerned. You wanted it. You wanted the solo. You wanted to be the guy. So you let the greatest quarterback that has ever breathed oxygen to leave your organization. So you could show everybody what you can do without him. Well, here we are. How's that working out? Oh, I didn't have a good quarterback. You had a fucking first-round quarterback, dude. You had a guy that came out of Alabama. All right? You had a guy that came from what many people call the de facto NFL version of a university team. What's your excuse? You took that guy and you gave him Matt Patricia and Joe Judge as offensive coordinator in his second season. A rookie quarterback's second year is absolutely the most important for their career. All right? The same can be said for in music and for albums. When a band comes out and they have a strong debut, it's that second album that's going to tell you whether or not they're going to be legends, whether they're going to be great and they're going to be around for a long time, or whether that first album was all they had. Okay? Whether that was it. That was just because that first album for a band, they spend their entire adult life writing those songs to get them right. So they have all these great songs. So when they get signed, they have all those great songs that they spend all those years on that album. But that second album, they have to write those songs in 6 months, like fast. So are you great? If you're great, it won't be a problem. But if that was all you had, we'll know. Rookie quarterbacks, they can come in on fire. Nobody knows who you are. Nobody understands what you're about. They don't know your tendencies, your weaknesses. They really just don't know what's going to happen to you. And you can catch fire and you can get out there and you can do something. Also, Josh McDaniels, pretty good offensive coordinator. Not one of my favorites, but pretty good. Good enough for a rookie quarterback to be able to shine. I know that. And he did pretty good. They even went to the playoffs, although they got destroyed. But still, they went to the playoffs. And you follow that up, his second year, the most important year, especially psychologically. A rookie quarterback, a new quarterback, he has to be, he has to feel confident and feel secure what he's doing on the field and in the locker room in his second year. That's essential. And you gave him Matt fucking Patricia? Really? That guy. You gave him that guy. I'm sorry, but that's... I don't know what else. I don't know what else to say at this point. But 2-9. Honestly, I think we could coach that team to 2-9. honestly, I'm not joking. I really sincerely believe that you could have taken any one of us and put us as coach, and we could have coached that team to 2-9. Okay, an NFL team could be automated and probably pick up 2 wins just because of how balanced the NFL is. Because everybody's so good, you know. How can you not? You know, God dang, man. I'm just going to catch up real quick before I move on to my next problem. Uh-oh, it looks like you guys were talking about movies. I shouldn't have started that. Oh, crap. I got a super chat. Usually Milena is here to say, hey, Aaron, get your super chat, dummy. All right. You can send super chats on the Rumble stream. 146 Zigzag sends a $5 super chat. He says, if you compare the AFC East, actually, Zigzag, I'm gonna get to that. We're about to get to that, and that's the next subject. So I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna save it for here in a second before we address that one. I'm just gonna catch up in the chat real quick. Goodfellas and Scarface are both way more entertaining than Godfather is. Okay. Tom Landry and Chuck Noll. That's funny. I didn't even know that. See, I just remember Landry having it bad at the end, and that was one of the reasons, Jerry Jones had the ability to fire him when Jerry bought the team. So I remember him having a bad season, and I remember Chuck Noll kind of having a bad situation in the 80s, and that was surprising. And those are the two that, for some reason, they just stuck out to me. But it's a rare thing. It's a very rare thing, and it's shocking. But I have to be honest. Aren't we comparing Belichick? Isn't everyone holding Belichick to a higher standard and saying he's better than Chuck Noll and Tom Landry? I mean, right? So wouldn't that be for real? Like people, if you're saying that Belichick is the greatest coach of all time, then certainly Noll and Landry can be more forgiven for having a bad season. But can Belichick, if you're the greatest ever, if people are saying you're the greatest ever, can you afford to have a 2-9 team? I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, that's weird, right? Bill loves to overinvest in defense. Well, it worked when you had Tom Brady, and that's what you should do, okay? I mean, I'm the first to tell you, I'll defend Belichick on this one. When you've got a legendary quarterback like that, that's what allows you to be able to overinvest in defense, especially if you're a defensive coach. If that's your forte, that's what I would do. So if I was the coach of the Patriots all these years and my forte was defense, I'd say, Tom, what if I got you just one weapon, one guy, okay, and everybody else was pretty good dudes? You handle that. I'll handle the defense, but we'll put a lot of weight into the defensive players so I can change the schemes and play around and be like a hybrid defense. That's what I would do. That's what I would say. That's what you do with a quarterback of Tom's caliber. That's what he provides for you. Now, if your coach is an offensive guy, then that's probably not going to happen. But I think the decision-making of Bill being a defensive guy, that's his forte, in making sure the defense is solid. When you've got Brady, I think that is a pretty reasonable and logical way to proceed, right? You can't do that anymore. For several reasons. One reason is the NFL's changed quite a bit. So he doesn't understand. I don't think he's starting to understand that even on defense, the type of player you need to look for is a bit different now. And I'm seeing that he's still picking kind of players that would have worked in the 2006 scheme or whatever, and that style of play. And he still kind of goes after those guys. He doesn't go after the new style player. That he's just still trying to get those dudes. I don't know. It's just very strange how he's doing it. But even that, we can't say that anymore is even any good. Although, when you have bad offensive play, that stresses the defense quite a bit. So, and vice versa. So it's a complementary thing. Everyone says, "Oh, well, the defense was so good in the early dynasty, so Tom was carried." No. Okay, we'll see how good that fucking defense is if Tom was out there throwing picks every game. Okay, let's find out. Let's see what they're all about all of a sudden. Okay, no, the defense relies on, they have to do their job, but they also need to make sure that their quarterback is not putting them in shitty situations. Like all of a sudden having to go out on the field and you're having to defend immediately against the offense that is on your own 30-yard line because you're an idiot. Your quarterback's an idiot. Okay, so no, and football is a game of a field position. It's about the back and forth. So an incident that occurs, a punt back and forth, a punt there, a punt there, a punt there, that happens in the first quarter based off of a big stop or whatever, or a mistake by the quarterback, has an effect on the back end in the second quarter, at the end of the second quarter. Okay? And that everything's shifted. You don't see that result until then, but they've gotten closer and closer and closer because of the back and forth. Now, people don't apparently understand this because it's not an immediate response. And I get that. I mean, I understand. I'm not saying that it's wrong for that, but you also have to consider those things. It's complementary. It always is. All right? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers had this same defensive players, same defensive coordinator, and all that. But in 2019, they were, 7-9, something like that? Well, Jameis Winston threw over 30 interceptions. That's not even counting fumbles lost, however many he had. So he might have had, close to 40 turnovers. What do you think that does to a defense? What do you think that does? It makes it impossible. It makes it very difficult. So, as a quarterback, you can help your defense, and your defense can help you. But it's a working together situation. Special teams. This is another thing. People don't pay attention to special teams and don't bring up special teams. Special teams does the same thing. Wouldn't it be nice to have your returner put you on your own 40 every time? Wouldn't that be great? That'd be badass, wouldn't it? So you have a good punt returner. You have a good kickoff returner who can take the nowadays, you got to take the ball out of the end zone. Wouldn't it be nice to have a returner who puts you at the 30, 35 every time? That'd be nice, wouldn't it? So that's also a good thing. These things help. So you have to look at all of the details and how much help they're getting. But how stressful is it for a defense if the special teams is giving up 30 yards, a 40-yard return? The special teams is screwing over the defense. And now everyone's saying, oh, the defense sucks. But they're always having to start out on the field because the offense is always getting an advantage because our special teams can't stop anybody. Okay, so there's all of these different factors. So I get it. I understand, what Belichick has been doing. And obviously it works, so we can't argue with the results. But now, what is there to say? It's bad. It's bad, and like I said, the offense is contributing to a lot of that. But the defense is bad too. I mean, everybody's bad. Just everybody's bad. I mean, the kicker can't make a fucking field goal. All right, I looked at Billy. I said, man, you could make that fucking field goal. That was, what was it, 31 yards, something like that. It was it was pretty close, right? So. You can't make that? Nobody. It's the mindset, okay? It's time for him to go, okay? It's not about what he did before. It's not about not appreciating those things. It's not about even if he can still coach. Things are rotten now. It's stale. Everything's old. It's time for a change. It's time for everybody to change. It may be bad. It may get worse, okay? But it doesn't matter. We certainly know it's not going to get better. All right? That's just not how this is going to work. It's not how it's going to survive. There. Okay? It's done. It's finished. Robert Kraft, that's where it needs to start. Robert Kraft needs to retire, give the team to Jonathan, let him take care of it. That's it. Let Jonathan hire his own coach, a new coach, Jonathan's own general manager, and then they go from there, and then they go with whoever they think their guy is. If they want to keep Mac, well, if they think they can help him, whatever. I think Mac's mentality, I think he needs out of New England if he's going to ever be anything at all, which doesn't look good for him. But he needs to leave too. So they need to just start over, for better or for worse, honestly. I just 2-9? 2-9? I mean, can it get much worse than that? I guess you could be 1-10. I guess you could be 0-11. At this point, does it make much of a difference? 0-11 would get you a draft pick, wouldn't it? The Panthers are certainly trying to, get that. What are the Bears right now? Bears are 3-8. They're trying, So the point I was getting to about respecting Belichick is that if he's tanking, he has lost every bit of credibility that he has ever had. And all those Super Bowls won, all those years means nothing. Tanking, guys, tanking for a draft pick is cheating. That is cheating. That is straight up cheating. Tanking and violating the salary cap are the two biggest, okay? The two biggest things you can do in football that will affect something. Like as far as I'm concerned, that would destroy the fabric of the game itself. Not a camera being located somewhere else in the fucking stadium when everybody can see and everybody's filming everything. Okay? Not air pressure in a ball. Okay, more or less. Nobody gives a shit about that. Not the kind of cleats you're wearing. Not, whether or not you're putting fucking Vagisil on your body. Okay, so for the offensive linemen and all this shit. All right, whatever, dude. Okay, salary cap violations and tanking. That will destroy the game. That will ruin the game. That is integrity to the game right there. That is the shit that really will destroy this sport. And tanking, sorry, no. You do that, you're scum, okay? You're absolute scum. You play to win. People are paying a lot of money to see these games. People are paying a lot of money. They deserve a victory, and I don't give a shit what your record is. You deserve a victory. This whole, I'm going to tank so I can get a draft pick. Okay, who? Okay, first of all, you're not guaranteed because you don't know the outcome. All right? And you don't know where you're going to fall until the very end of the season. So what if you tanked all those games, lost all those games, and then you ended up with the second pick only? There's a lot of things you can't control. You might be able to control your same record with the other team, but what if that team wins the tiebreaker? Excuse me. What if that team wins the tiebreaker? You can't control that. So you gave up all those games for the second pick when really the only guy that was worth tanking for was the number one guy who's going to go to the other team now. Now what? That was for nothing. And is that how bad you are? Is that how bad Bill Belichick is? Is that he needs to tank in order to get the perfect player? He can't survive with a top 5 pick? He can't survive with a top 10 pick? You're telling me you have to have the number one guy in the draft in order to be able to do something? I'm sorry, but that's the kind of shit that you would expect from a rookie coach, an expansion team, or something like that, needing this first overall guy to be your savior. It's not something I expect from the greatest coach of all time. That you have to have the first pick, the only guy, there's the only one guy in the draft that can save you and save your franchise. Well, that's utterly pathetic. So, you want to lose me forever as a fan? Tank. I will root against your team for the rest of my fucking life if you do that. If it looks obvious that that's what they're doing, if that's what they're going for, I'm done. I'm done. I'll root for the fucking Jets, all right, before I'll root for a Patriots team that tanked and threw a game away and threw a season away. Fuck that. Yegar says too many O-linemen become bust once they stop blocking for Tom since he's so easy to block for. Well, Tom is easier to block for because he can get rid of the ball so quickly, and he has a rare gift that only a few quarterbacks have, and it's a timing clock in their head that goes off. They generally, and in Tom's case, specifically Tom's case, and I'm sure some other quarterbacks do this as well, but Tom knows every defensive guy that's coming across the line. He's studied them. He knows their weaknesses and their tendencies. He knows how long it should take them to beat his guy, how long it should be before they get there. He's got a clock in his head. He generally knows. Now, that's very difficult to judge every time because, first of all, you may not have a guy that's open in that time, so you may not be able to do that. Second, sometimes those guys will beat their guy even faster. So it's hard to anticipate a guy like Von Miller, for example. Von is just next level fucking awesome, all right? So he can't be really predicted. You can know what his average bests are, but he's always going to come up with a different way, a new approach that he's going to get around his guy and get to you. But for the most part, week in and week out, when you've just got regular NFL-type guys that you know very well, you can do that, and someone of Tom's caliber can manage something like that. Most guys can't, but that does make your job as an offensive lineman a bit easier. It definitely does. You could see last year that Tom was kind of his mind wasn't just processing as fast. I think he was just mentally out of it. I think the divorce and all that, I think he didn't want to be there. He already knew he was going to quit. And there's all other reasons. And that offensive line was just so bad that it didn't matter. Nobody could get separation. Nobody was fighting to get open. The offensive coordinator was garbage. The plays were garbage. Everything was just bad. And Tom was bad too. Like, it was just bad overall. Tom wasn't as bad as what people make it sound like. They make it sound like he was, Peyton Manning bad, 2015 bad. Like, but he wasn't at all that bad. But it was bad for his standards, what we expect of him. But other than that, he generally is locked in, and that makes everybody's job easier. Not just the offensive lineman. It makes everybody's job easier. It's how a guy like Julian Edelman becomes the second all-time leader as a playoff wide receiver. Okay? It's how Wes Welker became a household name. Things like that. It's how Deion Branch gets all this money from Seattle thrown at him. That's the Tom Brady effect. And how many defensive players have benefited? Like I said, the back and forth, you got a good quarterback, your defense can play much better, and they can take a risk, and they can shine if they need to. That's how it works. So, look at that. Almost halftime, and it's 3-0. What a riveting game we have here. Okay, looks like my live chat is turning into a film conversation. Let me try to get through all that and see if I can find anything football related here. My fault. What's up, Ken? Nice to see you, man. Haven't seen you in a bit. Okay, wow. So it looks like I was talking to nobody. There we go, Luke. Luke says Brady went 8-8 if we're being fair. Yeah, I'm sick of Robert Kraft too, man. I know. Zigzag, tanking is cheating because you are literally quitting in order to get a higher draft pick. And that draft pick could change the fortunes of your team. And that could be the difference between a team being dominant for a decade or another team being dominant for a decade. So imagine the team that cheated to get Peyton Manning, for example, if you tanked to get Peyton Manning, if you were losing games on purpose. Look what that did for the Colts organization. They were an embarrassment. Playoffs, even the playoff thing, that was when Peyton Manning was there already. I mean, so they got it turned around. But they weren't good. But then they got it turned around, That's how it's cheating. It's a legacy. It could be a legacy defining decision. Losing on purpose. What if everybody just lost on purpose, vowing? And also, how about this? If you're losing on purpose, so for example, let's say that the Chiefs and Ravens at the end of the year are battling for the number 1 seed, right? And that number 1 seed, now that we know that only the number 1 seed gets the bye. That bye is essential because after 17 games, everybody's hurt, everybody's injured, people need to heal. That bye week it's worth more than it's ever been now because there's not a second team that's got that. So you've got a big advantage if you can do that. And if you're a type of team that can take the week off and still keep the foot on the pedal, okay? So you guys are fighting for that number 1. Ravens, Chiefs fighting for that number 1. It's the last game of the year. And let's say that the Chiefs are getting to play the Patriots. And the Ravens have to battle a very difficult team. Well, let's say that the Patriots are actually, they're playing pretty well despite their tanking, but at the very end they decide that they're going to quit. They're going to give the game to the Chiefs because they want that number 1 pick next year. They hand the number 1 seed to the Chiefs, and the Baltimore Ravens get fucked. Okay? That right there So by not trying, by quitting on purpose and losing on purpose, you are affecting everything. You're affecting all the placements around you. And then, and then of course the next season, it depends on who you get. You could be stupid and end up with Jamarcus Russell and it won't matter. You've just ruined your own life. But what if you're scoring a Peyton Manning or a John Elway? Somebody like that. So that's a game changer right there, and it was all earned because you quit on purpose and you didn't try to win. So that's a massive cheating problem right there. So the only funny thing about tanking is that it's hard to prove. It's very difficult to prove. Like you can see it. Like everybody knew that the Colts were tanking for Andrew Luck in 2011. It was very obvious. I have never respected the Colts ever since then. I think that Jim Irsay is a piece of shit for doing that, and I think that's wrong. They didn't even try. They didn't even try to win. They didn't even try to. I think about this. So they went. What would they go like 10-6 in 2010? 2011, they could only win 2 games. All of a sudden, they just didn't know how to play football. But then that team, then Andrew Luck comes along in his rookie year, and they play great, and they're back to playing good again. It's solid football. Like, come on, man. I mean, it's everybody knows what happened in 2011, and they cheated to get Andrew Luck. And what if the Redskins weren't tanking? And let's say they actually deserve that pick. What if they're the ones that get Andrew Luck? So now we've got Shanahan coaching Andrew Luck. Maybe Andrew Luck is not behind. We'll see Andrew Luck's not behind that offensive line. He's also not limited on his run game like RG3 was. And then we all know the Shanahan RG3 issue and all that. But that had to do with his legs. That had to do with him running around. Shanahan is more of a guy who wants a pocket passer. And so Andrew Luck, let's say Andrew Luck is on the Redskins and maybe Shanahan's still fucking coaching and maybe Andrew Luck is still playing if it weren't for them doing that, for them cheating to get that pick. So see, everything is altered. Everything is different. So, but again, very hard to prove. The Dolphins were tanking a few years ago. I called it out every single week on here. And then I tried to get a petition signed because Pat McAfee admitted on his show that the Colts were tanking in 2011. He admitted it. He admitted it on ESPN. He was on ESPN when he admitted it. And then the NFL, not related to what I was trying to do, but the NFL investigated Miami for tanking, and then all of a sudden they just started playing better, and things like just magically switched. Interesting how that works, right? So. Yeah, Luke says, I don't think teams actually tank. No one involved ever reaps the potential benefits of doing so. Well, the Colts did. The Colts did tank. They do. Teams do tank. It's happened many times. But they shouldn't. And not just because of the obviously the fair play issue, but like you're saying, though, you're right. It rarely reaps the potential benefits. It doesn't. I just don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth it. I think you should just keep winning. And again, if Belichick is so great, why would he need to tank? So I hope we're not tanking. That would be tragic. So that would be very, very disappointing. And that would ruin his legacy, by the way, if that became the narrative that they were tanking, if people started to whisper that and start looking at it the way we looked at the Colts. If it gets like that, oh man, but I don't know. I don't think we're tanking. I just think it's not good football. Oh yeah, Biocop says Patriots bending the rules, Spygate, and not Deflategate because that didn't even exist. Got universal flack, but Denver cheating the salary cap, which you can say helped them with winning a second Super Bowl. It had no effect on the first one, but it had effect on the second one. And then similarly, minor cheating. Like the new Patriots, like the Niners, don't get coverage. So what if all of a sudden people start talking about the Patriots tanking? Then that's not good. So. Oh, the 19 Dolphins. Yeah, I was talking. We're on the same page here. So. Best halftime show? I'm a little biased because of I guess my age, and when things happen when you're younger, I guess they have more impact. But I'd say Michael Jackson's halftime show for the Bills Cowboys, that was pretty awesome. But I'd have to say the number one, like the best I've ever seen, because just how everything came together and was perfect, it's probably Prince, Super Bowl 41. So. How about the Jaguars tanking for Trevor? It's possible. Tank for Tua. Yeah, that's what I was referring to. That's right. Blind Assassin. That's absolutely right. Anthony says, actually, the Rams would have gotten luck if they didn't trade with Washington and the Colts didn't tank. So, yeah, that's true. That's absolutely true. So the Redskins wouldn't probably have had access to him in that situation. Or maybe so. Maybe they just trade with them. So maybe they have to offer more or something. Who knows? But yeah, that was a factor. You're absolutely right. Yeah, Spygate wasn't even a rule. Well, it was a rule for one half of football. So with Spygate, there was a memo sent out. So Roger Goodell became commissioner in 2006. He was trying to show, like, I'm the new sheriff in town, because Paul Tagliabue apparently was like letting, he was very like, yeah, whatever, kind of thing. I mean, he didn't even really stop them from major violations in the 90s. So Roger Goodell wanted to show that there's a new sheriff in town, and he sent out this memo about the camera placement or whatever. A memo, meaning not do it, don't do it, but it's not technically against the rules. Okay. Well, Belichick's like, yeah, new commissioner, whatever, fuck you, yeah, whatever, who cares? Okay. So 2007, it is a rule, and they're still doing it. So they did it, and they got caught and at halftime. So for those first two quarters of week one against the Jets, they did violate the rules. Stupid rule, makes no damn sense. Still don't understand it. As far as like why, what does it matter? But it was the rule. So technically they did break the rules for the first half of football, but that's it. So, yeah, that's it's that simple. So. who is doing the tanking? The tanking can be done by a lot of different interests. The owner could want it. Like in the case of Miami, we were told that it was from the top. So the owner demanded that the coach, just not try to win. You've got a coach who's got absolute power, like Belichick, who personally is not coaching to his best, or not making decisions that would increase the odds of winning. So I'll give you an example of this. Mac Jones should have been pulled a long time ago. I'm not saying that the Patriots are tanking. I'm just saying these are little signs that could look like that. Mac Jones should have been pulled. Zappy sucks too, but at least most coaches would have made that switch already, and he just keeps putting Mac back out there just to make an even bigger fool out of himself because it's just not going to work. He keeps doing that because that's what's producing losses. So if one believed that the Patriots were tanking, that could be one small thing that could look like that. But it's a whole lot of things, of course. That would just be one detail, but you could look at that. So, do I remember the 0 Super Bowls and Spygate nonsense? Yes, and that's why 2014 was so satisfying. That's why winning that game was so important, and it meant so much. It meant everything because it not only did it already have the added weight of now Deflategate, but because Deflategate now was festered for 2 weeks during that break between the Colts and the Seahawks. But the whole, like you said, haven't won a Super Bowl since Spygate. So yeah, Blind Assassin, absolutely. Blind Assassin is most of the time the teams that tank get the player they want, and it still doesn't work out. And it's not worth it. But in those cases where it is worth it and it does work out, and let's say that you tank to get that has a major effect on the rest of the league, and an effect that lasts potentially for decades. So that's the problem with that. Oh, nice. We got a new super chat. And Zigzag, like I said, I haven't forgotten about yours. I'm moving on to that subject right now. Elva Courage, since $5 super chat, it's pertaining to this subject matter. He says the Raiders tanked from 03 to 016, and the Browns tanked from 03 to 22. Oh. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say when you're bad for that long, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, right? We'll give them that. So that's funny though. Shit, that's good. Okay, so. Moving on, we're going to now. I want to talk to you guys about something that was trending on Twitter last night on X. It's going to take about a year for me not to call it Twitter, but on X, and it's regarding Alex Smith, taking a shot at Brady. So we're going to get into that. I'm going to get a new Coke. I'll be right back, and just hang tight just for 30 seconds, okay? Going to use my Coca-Cola bottle opener that Tyree Vaughn and his family sent to me in a gift basket. It was a Coca-Cola gift basket, and this came with it. Okay. So first, I'm going to show you what Alex said, and then we're going to go over of what my responses were and some things that I've found. And I wanted to talk to you guys first about it, go over it in case there's some things I might be missing or you guys have any extra ideas. But I'm turning this into a Brady Hate Saga episode. Basically, I know I did one about the schedule. I did two, AFC and NFC. But those points were a little different than this one. This one's a bit different. And now that this is recent news and this is circulating again because so many people are buying into it, apparently BDS is still a thing. But I'm going to do a Brady Saga episode for this one this week. But I'm going to run some stuff by you and we'll see what we can come up with here. So, and anything you guys, like if you send a super chat or something with like some good stats like Zigzag here, and then they could appear in the Brady Saga episode. So, Pepsi is better. Pepsi's really good. I like Pepsi. So. All right. So let's. Okay. Yeah, so this was posted by That's Good Sports. This guy's a Denver Broncos fan. He has a channel, pretty big channel on YouTube. Brandon Perna follows you. Yeah. That means that I'm probably a subject matter of one of his stupid videos. Okay. I'll follow back. Okay. He's the one that posted it. Of course, Gord King had also made a comment here.
And my biggest complaint with this,
the volume on this is not very good. They recorded it off their TV, but I hope you guys can hear it.
In the most uncompetitive division,
Do you agree with Tom Brady?
I mean, a lot here, Sam. Listen, first off, let me just preface this. I love Tom, the GOAT, but
You don't need to say that.
But
You need to say that. Just kidding.
first off, he hasn't been retired that long. He was just playing. Like, he just won a Super Bowl in the current game. Like, is he discounting that one? And then my biggest complaint with this, and no offense to you guys, well, all three of you guys, he played in the most uncompetitive division, I think, in NFL history. I mean, you come out of training camp, the biggest cupcake division, you got a ticket to the playoffs right away. Like, talk about mediocre. Like, I completely disagree with this. I know he's referencing the rule changes.
Do you agree with Tom Brady?
I mean, a lot here.
Okay, so I know why Alex took offense to this, and we'll go back here in just a second. But first, I just want to say, if you couldn't hear it, I hope you could hear it. I tried to blast it as loud as I could, but he has a problem with Brady saying that it's been a lot of mediocre football, and so Alex takes a shot at the AFC East, of course, which is Tom's division, and how that it's been uncompetitive, blah, blah, blah. All right. So very first thing is Alex doesn't understand is what Tom said. Okay, what Tom is talking about. He's not talking about that. He's actually talking about the quality of a player-to-player and play-to-play situation. And that is really what he's referring. He's talking about, lack of bad coaching, bad scheming, bad habits, things like that. It's not about, anything other than that. And bringing up a division or whatever, it just completely has no connection to what Brady's saying. But he put it out there, and the problem is that this is getting a lot of attention and being circulated and all that. And a lot of people, especially Chiefs fans, are cheering this on. And, of course, guys like that Brandon Perna guy. So Alex, I think, took offense to this because he is very close to Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. And right now, they're the dominant team. So by Tom saying that, Alex feels like it's being a shot taken at them. The problem for Alex here, though, is that he shouldn't have said it. Now, the reason why he shouldn't have said it firstly, is because he's surrounded by three men who are from the AFC East. So you're being a real dickhead, okay? First of all, by saying that, but also you're kind of putting yourself on blast, honestly. So you got Teddy Bruschi there, who won 3 Super Bowls in that, uncompetitive division or whatever, all right? So you're insulting him. You got Randy Moss, who couldn't win a Super Bowl in that uncompetitive division. And then you've got Rex Ryan, who coached, and he's only been a head coach in that division. So he coached the Jets and the Bills. And Rex, as the coach of the Jets, was one of the biggest problems for the Patriots. So, and defeated the Patriots in a playoff game, in a divisional playoff game in New England. So you just insulted the shit out of all three of them, honestly. But probably you insulted Bruschi the most because you're questioning his rings by saying that. All right. The problem for Alex here is some statistics that I pulled up. So first, let's go back. So I said, of course, my first remark was, this is some next level Brady derangement syndrome. Damn, I didn't realize Alex was such a little bitch. He didn't even care. He insulted 3 of his partners in the process. Okay. Of course, Gord King says, never mind that Brady was the reason the division wasn't competitive. People don't really, and then these guys, of course, made some good points here. So, okay, so I wrote, this is problematic for Alex because not only is he dead wrong, he buries himself most of all. During Brady's tenure with the Patriots, if we were to pretend that the Patriots didn't exist, okay, so I did the math on if the Patriots never existed, which means that their wins and losses don't affect the other teams in the AFC East. This was their result. So Patriots don't exist, and the Jets, Bills, and Dolphins, or even the Colts, their wins and losses against the Patriots are wiped from existence. The AFC East teams, excluding the Patriots from 2001 to 2019, is approximately 45.44%. Okay, that's pretty bad, under 500. All right. But this is where context is important. Where's Alex's Super Bowl ring? I'm just saying if it's so uncompetitive. So during Alex's time with the 49ers, the team that drafted him first overall and expected him to lead them using the same exact formula where the 49ers are not a factor, the remaining members of the NFC West had a 44.07% win. So they're worse. Brady, in his more competitive division than Alex's, produced 9 Super Bowl appearances, 6 rings, 13 championship game appearances. Alex produced massively shitty seasons, culminating in 1 championship appearance, lost, and then proceeded to lose his job to Colin fucking Kaepernick. And Alex, I wrote, should we visit your buddy Patrick Mahomes' division data since the day that he took your job? Probably not, because trust me, it's not good, and it's not good. You buried yourself, you buried Mahomes, and you buried many other Hall of Fame quarterbacks that have had a less competitive division, as you call it, than Brady. So we have this dipshit here. This is a Chiefs fan. He says, what a shame you've used a lot of words only to not say anything meaningful. That tells me that he either doesn't know how to read and didn't read what I said, or didn't want to read it and was too lazy to see my point. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said that. I did, funnily say I do show every week, and he's welcome to debate me, but that's he's not going to respond to that. Okay. So this dude, okay. So this is typical Brady hates shit. This guy says NFC West Super Bowl appearances: Seahawks 3, Rams 3, 49ers 2, and the Arizona Cardinals 1. Wait. Yeah, 3. Okay. AFC West Super Bowl appearances: Chiefs 3, Denver 2, Raiders 1. AFC East, Patriots 10. Definition of not competitive in the East. They haven't had a team in the Super Bowl since 97 Pats and 93 and 94 Bills. Okay. First of all, Super Bowl appearances have nothing to do with this argument. This has nothing to do with this argument. That's a separate issue. So, what the fuck? Okay? So I wrote, typical goalpost moving. Now it's changing it. So we went from the original bullshit that is weak division, which is restricted to regular season performance and playoff placement, to now playoff results, playoff performance. Playoff performance has no bearing whatsoever on the argument regarding getting to the playoffs, which the weak division is the cause for. Do you not see the problem here? When you find out that the AFC East's playoff appearances are comparable to any other legendary quarterback, now you get to move it to Super Bowl appearances, although it's completely irrelevant to the divisional point. He goes on to say, performance in general, regardless of regular season or playoffs, is the goalpost. How? That doesn't make any sense. Super Bowl appearances are a sign of being a winning, competent, successful organization. Yes, it is. What does that have to do with the argument that the division is any harder or weaker as it pertains to the Patriots? That doesn't make sense. That's only what happens after you get to after the regular season. He says Brady gets a cakewalk while the rest of the league battles through parity. Again, what does that matter? Okay, so the idiocy of this, all right? And why it doesn't make any sense. If you wanted to tie the weakness of the division to Super Bowl appearances and playoff results, it's a very difficult thing to do because, for example, you can have a team that sucks every year and year in and year out, all right? And that great team that's in the division can benefit from playing them. But all of a sudden, that one team can have 1 year where they just go on this crazy run. They get to the Super Bowl, and this fucking guy can use that as his point for a competent division. Well, he included the Cardinals, for example. The Cardinals did make it to the Super Bowl in 2008. They barely got into the playoffs. I think they were like 9-7 or something. I can't remember what the circumstances were, if the division was just that bad and they won the division, or if it was a wild card. Not sure exactly. But either way, they had a bad record, regular season record. So many would say that they're not very formidable during the regular season, but this guy can write down that the Cardinals were in the Super Bowl. Okay? But for how many years were the Cardinals trash? All right? That's why the Super Bowl thing has no bearing on the argument of the regular season, because the argument the original argument with Alex Smith and everybody else is that Tom has a free ride to the playoffs. Well, that doesn't really matter. What if you lose to those teams during the regular season, no matter how bad they are? As we know, division games are very, very different from other games where these are teams that know each other. Look how the Raiders last night held their own against the Chiefs up until the end when the dam finally broke. The Raiders had no business being in a game with the Chiefs, okay? Especially in their situation right now. But they still were able to hang with them because of familiarity. That's how it works. And you get this a lot. How many times did we watch the Jets get the better of the Patriots for some weird reason? You know? How about the Dolphins? The Dolphins were quite a huge pain in the ass for the Patriots at times, especially going into Miami. The only way this argument would really have any real effect would say that the Patriots are always going 6-0 in their division every year, and that's what's contributing. But they don't go 6-0 every year. They've only done it twice, I believe. So all those other times they lost some games. So are you not going to credit them for losing those games? Another problem is that all of the legendary quarterbacks that you want to bring up, you can find a pattern where this occurs, okay? It occurs because that is just the nature of the NFL. So if there's one team in the division that's beaten up on everybody, you're going to have other teams that are just garbage and are just not really, keeping up, okay? So I said, okay, let me try this again. Do you want to talk about the regular season division thing or the playoff thing? Oh, wait. He continued. Wait a minute. Where's the rest of it? Oh, yeah. He said when Brady gets to the playoffs, his performance is what separates him for the GOAT conversation, obviously, because obviously division doesn't matter there. So now he's admitting that. Okay, but let's not pretend he wasn't the beneficiary of all the rule changes he's claiming to ruin the game. And now he's retired and no benefit. All right. So I said, let me try this again. Now you're bringing up rule changes. So pick an argument, or we can do them one at a time. It's up to you, but you're all over the place. Okay, so now we've gone from it being a division argument to playoffs to Super Bowls, and now it's about rule changes. This right here is classic Brady derangement syndrome. This is one of the best examples of the mental virus that is Brady derangement syndrome. It's that you're constantly scrambling. So when you've been disproven and you've been shown that you're completely wrong, you scramble and then you try to change the parameters of the argument. So, yeah. The Brady rule change, is what people call it, was, in fact, a rule change that occurred because of two famous quarterbacks suffering from the same thing. Up until recently, the rule of thumb in the NFL was they don't change major rules unless a sequence of events occurs. Okay, so meaning more than one time. Okay, one outlier usually wasn't enough to change things. And then they started doing that over time. And before, they really wouldn't react to something that much. So Carson Palmer going down in the playoffs in 2005 against the Steelers, that was like a wake-up call, okay? Like, whoa, wait a minute, this is not good, okay? And they weren't able to get it changed. This is also a time where the Rooneys had a lot of sway, a lot of power, and over the league, and for some reason it just wasn't changed. And the Bengals just didn't have enough behind them to get that changed. The NFL considered, okay, one guy, it was a freak accident, but whatever. Then it happened to Brady, and they lost the best quarterback in the league for an entire year after going undefeated. And they're like, okay, this is not good. What if this becomes a trend now? This is two quarterbacks within a close amount of time going down for a rule that is pointless, okay? Or a lack of a rule that's pointless. Because it's pointless because going at the quarterback's knees like that generally doesn't really serve a purpose. The only thing it can really do is blow their knee out. And that's where they were looking at, okay? So it was a good rule change in my opinion. It was something that needed to happen. It's something that needed to happen after Carson Palmer, okay? But they didn't do it. But then everyone calls it the Brady rule when it was actually the rule of two great quarterbacks in a row went down and we need to do something about this. So it could have been Peyton instead of Tom that went down, and it would have still had the same effect. Okay, could have been Roethlisberger, and they still would have done it. It just happened to be Tom. That was the second quarterback to go down, and then they changed it. It's a good rule change. It was necessary. Should have happened before. That's it. But everybody wants to say, and as if Tom had something to do with that. Okay, no. I'll tell you what Tom didn't have anything to do with, and that was with the Colts changing the rules of coverage. So their style of play could now succeed, and that would hinder the Patriots' style of play. What happened after that coverage rule changed? The Colts finally broke through and won a Super Bowl. I don't hear anybody talking about that, really. That doesn't have traction like the Brady rule knee thing, which is a rule that you would want for all your quarterbacks. So trying to say that it's a Brady thing is really a stupid-ass remark on your part, even if you don't like Brady. That's really a really dumb position to have. Zigzags in a $5 super chat here. Again, I'm going to read this. If you compare the AFC East 02 to 010, or if you compare the AFC East to 2002 to 2010, to the AFC South 02 to 2010, and to the AFC West 18 to now, before or after 2010, the East consistently produced more winning records yearly. And this right here is one of many examples on why this is complete dog shit, why they saying this. So, Luke, we're of the same mind. So I was about to say that. So Luke says, no one benefited more from the 2002 alignment than the Colts. Okay, so here's, and I touched on this in the Brady Saga episode a bit, but in 2002, the new alignment brought in the Houston Texans. So it gave the league an even 32 teams. But the Houston Texans, they wanted to bring into the AFC because they already had another Texas team, and the general rule of thumb is let's balance conferences for teams that are in the same state, okay? So you try to do that the best you can. So if the Cowboys are in the NFC, then a Houston team should naturally be in the AFC. Well, that would require an AFC team moving to the NFC in order to get the 16 and 16 on each side. So the Seattle Seahawks were the ones that were moved from the AFC West into the NFC West. And that made all divisions 4 each. So 4 divisions of 4 teams each, instead of the previous 3 divisions in each conference. So that gives the newly formed AFC South the Indianapolis Colts, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Tennessee Titans, and the Houston Texans. Well, that's not a bad deal for Peyton Manning, who was in the AFC East, okay? Who the year before took an absolute beating by the Patriots, okay? Also, while Peyton was a Colt from 98 to 2001, he was in the AFC East. And the AFC East had some good teams in it. The Jets and the Dolphins were pretty good. The Bills, no, not so much. But the Bills were in their post-Super Bowl run day, where in their rebuild era. And then the Patriots had won a Super Bowl and had beaten them twice that season in 2001. So that was Peyton's experience before he got moved over. What he got sent to was a division with a Titans team that was, they were streaky, okay? They were good sometimes, and then they were like, scratch your head, like, what are they doing here? Exactly. Back and forth, it depends. Because, for example, 2003, Steve McNair was playing great football, was co-MVP along with Peyton Manning. So that was a co-MVP from the same division. That doesn't happen very often. But then you have the Jacksonville Jaguars, who, for the most part, weren't that formidable. And then you had the Houston Texans, which are absolute garbage. So very similar situations. The benefit for Peyton as a quarterback was much more advantageous and better than what Tom Brady was dealing with. So Tom Brady was left in the AFC East with Buffalo and the New York Jets, which means that Tom plays in Foxborough. So he's got 8 games a year that's in Foxborough weather. Only a few of those are pretty decent weather in the beginning of the year. Then he's got to go to the New York Jets, which is, we know, New York, and then Buffalo, which is the worst. Okay, he only gets one reprieve by going to Miami. But as we all know, if you get sent to Miami in September, that sucks, and that's not any better than any other situation, and because they just cannot perform in that hot weather down there. Okay, well, Peyton gets to play in a dome, first of all, so that's great. He gets to go to Houston, which plays in a dome. He gets to go to Jacksonville, which not near as bad as Miami as far as heat goes, and is usually pretty damn good. And Tennessee is generally neutral weather unless it is deep into the season. And they can have, snow, rain, tornado type weather and stuff like that. But I would say for the most part that Peyton had it pretty good for what he does. But remember, anything that it benefits Peyton Manning is never used. All the accusations against Tom are there's always a difference. There's always a selective outrage for what happens to Tom or what Tom gets or benefits or what is perceived as a benefit, but never applies to Peyton. Now, I've always said, I've given props to guys like Roethlisberger, who plays in Pittsburgh, plays in Baltimore, that's outside, Cleveland's outside, Cincinnati's outside. Okay, all 4 of those teams have some pretty shitty weather for a large part of the season. All 4 of those teams are outdoors. So it's the only division that doesn't have an indoor team. So Ben Roethlisberger, props to him for having such a good career in those conditions. Okay, you've got Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers plays in Green Bay, so we know the deal with that. So that's his home games. Then we've got he gets to go to Detroit in a dome. He gets to go to Minnesota in a dome, but then Chicago is also pretty bad. So that's 9 games a year that you have a chance of, a majority of them, not all of them, because again, some games are played in September, of course, but there's a high chance that the majority of them are going to be very difficult for a quarterback, or more difficult than usual. So props to these guys who play in those conditions. But that was not something that Peyton had to worry about. That was not something that Drew Brees had to worry about. So Drew Brees was a Charger for several years. So you got to play in San Diego. How perfect is that, right? That's nice. The only really, unless you played Kansas City or Denver in the wintertime, that wasn't really a factor. Okay, cool. You got to play the Oakland Raiders. Not really a big deal. They suck so bad it wouldn't have mattered anyway. And it's amazing how fast they fell off too, by the way. But then he gets to go to New Orleans. New Orleans in a dome. Atlanta Falcons in a dome. Carolina could go either way. That's more of just bad weather, like rain and very shitty conditions in that sense. Not so much of course the northern type weather, but and then you had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which we all know, it's Florida. So these are not brought up. Okay, they're just not. For some reason, they don't bring these up, but these are valid points as well. But it's always about Tom. It's always these excuses. It's amazing. It is fucking amazing how they do this. And and like Ken was saying here, that's another good point. So at the time the rules started changing, this was also a result of the CTE scandal. So that had become a thing. The Dr. Bennett Amalu, I think is his name, had made CTE a thing and brought it out in the open. So they were afraid of all that. So any kind of, the players union and the guys who played from the old days, they were, up in arms about injuries and things. So the NFL that was really the start of them freaking out and going, oh my God, we've got to do something here. We got to change things. So that also was a factor in that. Like I said, before it usually took consecutive things constantly happening for them to really move their butt on something. So that Ken has a very good point there as well. So yeah, Biox says they act like Brady made the rule. He suffered the injury. They fixed the issue after he suffered the injury. How's that on him? He benefited from it. So did every other quarterback. Yeah, but Tom lost a year because of it, and still was able to overcome that and still have a great career after that. So again, that's not mentioned. That's not brought up. It's hilarious. So there you go. Like Luke here says, funnily enough, Manning's early playoff losses were to the Titans, Dolphins, Jets, and Patriots. So there's something I wanted to show you guys here. Let's go back to screen share. Okay. So I was doing some of now this is not done. I'm still going through, but this is some preliminary stuff I've been putting together here. This is what you're looking at is a graph of the concept. I don't know if you can see that. Let's make it larger. Okay. I hope that's big enough. That's as large as I can get it. This is the 6-3. What a riveting game. All right. So this is me inputting the information. This graph is for, or these statistics are for if you took out that person alignment for each quarterback. So you can see here at the top of the tabs, I've got Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers. Those are the four I've got done so far. It doesn't mean they're all the ones, but these are just the biggest, most recent examples that I went to first. Of course, I would want to put up Drew in there and Ben and other famous quarterbacks that had a long career over the last 20 years. So what you're looking at is this is the stats for the AFC East before the 0-2 alignment. Oh, I'm sorry. That's wrong. From the alignment 0-2 to 0-7, I did not count his injury year. So 0-8, it doesn't matter. I didn't count it. So I did not plug in what Miami, New York, Buffalo, or New England did in 0-8. because I didn't want anybody going, well, you included the wins from Miami and blah, blah, blah in there. I'm like, okay, fuck you. So I just avoided that because Tom is the only one that went back to his team after that. So of this group anyway. So then there's the graph for 09 to 2019 as a Patriot. And then I totaled it here. Then there's the AFC East for 1 year because Tom only has one relevant year for 01. And then there's the NFC South for the Tampa Bay Bucks. So all of his division opponents, this is before we take out their existence. So these are just the regular numbers. His division opponents from his whole career is 0.435. Okay? His record against all division opponents his whole career, not just Patriots, but his whole career is 0.749. That is phenomenal. That is a great record. Although Tom has higher winning percentages against other divisions. That's not his best win percentage. So that right there, that should be enough to shut everyone's ass up, okay? But it proves that Tom could have been in any division and it wouldn't have mattered, but we're going to focus just on the division itself. So this is when you subtract. So this is just removing them. Okay, so that results in Tom's opposition winning percentage. If the Patriots are removed from or I should say Tom Brady-led Patriots and Tom Brady-led Bucks are removed from the situation, those opponents have a win percentage of 0.465, which goes up from 4.435. That is as a direct result of the Patriots beating the shit out of them, that difference there. So, and Tom's would be now 0.733 if you took away those. Okay. So I did Peyton, Patrick. Here's Peyton. Okay. So Peyton's division was the highest performing. So if these right here, this is just if you took out, if they didn't exist. Okay. So quarterback team win percentage, if you took away that 7.33, Peyton Manning's lower 7.7, okay, 0.70, sorry, 704. Patrick Mahomes 0.731, lower than Tom's. And then you got Aaron Rodgers, which is really much lower, 0.612. Okay? Now, I did not factor in people missing games here and there. Okay? So that's way too much detail, and the differences are negligible to just kind of get an idea of what we're doing here. So this includes Aaron's years where he started for 7 games and started for 9 or whatever. It just counts the whole year, or Peyton's 2015 team where he missed some games. Okay. So if you remove those, if you remove these 4 quarterbacks as teams from their division, and they have no effect on their division opponents, this is just showing us how their division opponents played against other teams in the league. For Tom Brady, for his over 20-plus year career, was 0.465. The next lowest is Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers' division, the NFC North, would produce 4.78. Patrick Mahomes, 4.81, and then Peyton's, funnily enough, is the highest. And I think this got a kick up because of the early Titans teams and the late Chiefs teams when he was a Bronco. So, and some Phillip Rivers Chargers teams helped with that as well. And then Patrick Mahomes, like I said, 4.81. These are all very similar. And the longer career you have, the more it's difficult to maintain that just because of the nature of distance. How long it goes, these teams are going to go up and down. There's going to be a lot of changes. So none of this is shocking enough to say that they're given a free ride to anything at all. That's just, it's absolutely stupid. It just shows that everybody is benefiting. These are garbage teams that Patrick had been playing against. These are a lot of garbage teams that Peyton and Aaron are all playing against. And even in Aaron's case, what's funny is that they're so bad, but yet his winning percentage is 61%. Okay? I mean, at least Brady's, like I said, Brady has the highest winning percentage against his own division, 73%, as where Mahomes has the second, 73%. A difference between a 733 and 731. Let's just say that they're the same. So Brady and Patrick have picked on their own division exactly the same. And all I see is Chiefs fans piling on about this. But it's the same. So the benefit, it's all about wins and losses. It doesn't matter about really the factoring in how good they are against other teams, how good the divisional opponents are against other teams really don't matter. All that really matters is how you performed against them. What are you benefiting? And Tom and Patrick have the same exact benefit. So exactly. The results are the same. Same winning percentages. What do you have to say about that? I don't know what else you couldn't argue that, right? There it is. There's the numbers. Peyton struggled more than them, but I wouldn't call it a struggle. 70% winning percentage, okay? And then, again, Aaron is the one that has the weird anomaly here. That's the 61%, so that's much lower than the rest of the guys. I didn't expect that, I would say that, again, that does factor in a few losses, Packer losses that would factor that in when Aaron may have not been playing. But even if I took those away, I think the result would probably still be around in the 63 percentile. It's not going to be like crazy because a lot of those games he lost were against division opponents. Mainly the Vikings gave him a lot of trouble. And actually the Lions had a few more wins than I was anticipating. He owns the Bears. The Bears were not a factor for him. But see, an idiot like that idiot on Twitter would say, well, the Bears went to the Super Bowl in 2006, and he might use that to show that Brett Favre had a tough division. But we know what the Bears are about, you know? Again, what would the division have to do with an appearance here and there and an outlier? So we could bring this up all the time. You're always going to have certain teams that go on a run or kind of awkwardly be good in the playoffs. The Giants won 2 Super Bowls while not being exactly a formidable opponent during the regular season. So what would you say about that? You know, that's a weird thing. I remember times where the NFC East was such garbage that they were, you know, who's going to lose? Who's going to be the biggest loser and still get into the playoffs because somebody has to win the division? There were also years when that went on, and nobody could actually be the winner. Nobody actually could take over. So you can't. How do you reconcile that? You can't. So. Yeah, and the thing about, you know, Tom's main point to begin with is he is the most credible person to say this because he's referring to a time he played. He was just playing. He's including himself in that. He's including the people he was playing against. He's saying that in general. So he has the most credibility. It's not like he's Joe Montana, who's completely out of touch from the modern era and coming in there and being like, well, back in my day, it was blah, blah, blah. You know, he's not doing that. So, yeah. And I mentioned this on the show Saturday night, but Tom has mentioned these things before. This is not new. So Alex needs to really just check himself. But it's not even so much about Alex saying it as much as it is that it caught fire and it reignited this bullshit, okay? And it completely got this whole thing going again. And it's really, really annoying. So... But if there's anything that you guys can think of that I should include or visit or look up for this, let me know. If there's something I missed or something that you think could enhance it or add to it. So. I think the most damning thing goes against people who believe this is the fact that the Patriots owned everybody. Like their winning percentage, whoever you threw at them, they made it look good. Okay, so it's not like, oh, they've got all these. And by the way, what difference does it make if you're still beating everybody in the playoffs? You know? That's what I don't get. So are they insulting everybody that they've ever played in the playoffs? Are they insulting all of those people? That's what I don't understand. That would be interesting to ask them that. Did their division sucking have anything to do with their savior Patrick Mahomes losing to Tom Brady in 2018 in their own stadium? Was that a division thing? Oh wait. But Patrick had home field advantage, didn't he? Did Patrick get home field advantage because he took advantage of a bad Denver and Raider team? Just wondering. Is that why he had home field advantage? Is that it? Should we question that? I mean, these are Chiefs fans that are going crazy about this, so this is a valid question. Should we? Did it? Did it matter? Did it have an effect? But what about when Brady's division rival, Miami Dolphins, beat them and costed them the home field advantage? Oh, wait. Oh, see, that's a problem. That's a big problem. So, like I showed, Patrick Mahomes has enjoyed the same amount of winning on his opponents as Tom Brady. Not a word. The Chiefs have been to how many AFC Championship games straight? Since 2018? Every one of them, correct? Was that because of the division? So they didn't earn those wins in the playoffs? They didn't earn their way to the Super Bowl? I don't know. According to them, it seems like that's the case. So... Israel, you may have forgot, but you're a member on Patreon, so you get a free super chat every show. You get one. You just got to let me know. You can send it through Patreon, or you can post it here and just give me a heads up that that's the one you want to use. Just put in the parentheses super chat or something. Okay. Brady's career, Israel says Brady's career versus non-AFC East teams, including playoffs, 526 touchdowns, would be third all time. This is great. This is, without his division, he'd be third all time. He would be second all time in yards. He'd be first all time in wins. And he would still have the most playoff wins, most ever, and he'd still have 7 Super Bowls. Yep, exactly. Thank you for posting that. That's amazing. And most importantly, I think the biggest problem here is that people didn't understand what Tom was talking about. So I think Alex took it. He took it with emotion. He felt, like I said, he felt that it was a shot at the Chiefs and a shot at Patrick Mahomes and people like that. And what he really did is he opened up a can of worms, because it would cause people like us to focus on Alex and say, well, Alex, why didn't you get it done? You were in shitty division before. You spent the majority of your career in a very bad division. You know, if you guys can remember, the NFC West was absolutely atrocious for a very long time during that. And then you had one, freak occurrence here and there that would happen. But they were bad for a while. And how come, where's his ring? Where's, if it's so easy, I'm just wondering, if it's so easy, then why didn't he do that? Why didn't his 49ers teams take advantage of those bad Rams teams and those bad Cardinals teams? Those Cardinals teams, they may have went to the Super Bowl in 2008, but they were not that great during the season. They were just the whole time. Trust me, I remember. So this whole thing is idiotic, but people have misinterpreted Alex's misinterpretation of what Tom was saying, and it has created a whole new Brady hate bullshit that's risen again and is back in circulation, which is good for me because it gives me some content to work on and gives me something to do as far as that, because Tom, like I told you guys, Tom obliterated the competition so badly that there wasn't really much to say, and it kind of quietened everyone down, and people kind of stopped doing that because they didn't want to look like idiots. But now they're back. There's something there, so that's good in a way, I guess. Yeah, Luke says Miami has derailed New England's season multiple times. 2013, 2015, and 2019 come to mind. But Luke, I don't understand. I thought it was a free ride. I understood that Brady was going 6-0 every year. I also didn't know that even if you went 6-0, I didn't know six wins was enough to get you home field advantage in the playoffs. I wasn't aware of that. Even if you do go 6-0. So, which they only did twice. One of which they were undefeated against everyone. So, what about that? So they went 6-0 in 2007. They went 6-0 against the division. But they also went 10-0 against the rest of the league. So, including Peyton Manning's Colts. Uh-oh. Oh, Tom can't do a no-look pass. Damn. That's it then. That's it. Then everything else is just out the window. I also want to mention one thing about. Let me. I'm just going to pull this up real quick. Give me a second. I'm editing a statistical thing real fast if you're wondering what I'm doing, if you're just listening. Give me just a second here. Okay, so people are talking about lately. They've been talking about MVP. Okay, so we have a lot of games played, and people are discussing who should be MVP. Well, first of all, as we know, the MVP is always going to be a quarterback. It's you have to do something extremely special and extremely crazy in order to in order to win without being a quarterback. So you have to do something very extraordinary. You have to be like, breaking some kind of record or coming close. It's just not going to happen that much. It's always going to go to a quarterback probably from now on. I find it. I just don't think a running back or a wide receiver or even a defensive player could ever get that. So, although I understand it, quarterback is the most important position. So we're just going to look at quarterbacks in this sense. But there's nobody who is like shockingly above everyone else. There's some guys that you can make arguments for in different categories and things like that, but nobody who's just absolutely, destroying everyone else. It's going to come down to the quarterback with the best record and have comparable stats. I think that's what they're going to do. But right now, if I had to pick someone right now, it would. If you had to give the award to somebody today, I'd probably have to give it to Jalen Hurts. That's with everything included. So that's record. That's winning in the times that it matters. And one thing that's very important to me is getting the job done, having the game-winning drive. Those are important. That's not just enough. It has to come with stats, but he's got stats. They're stats. I mean, they're okay. They're not terrible. They're not outstanding, but they're there. But there's nobody who is just like, look at me, I am the man, I am dominating. So for right now, I think it would probably go to Jalen Hurts, even though I would like them to look at some players that are not quarterbacks and give that some attention, but they're not going to. I would really love to see a defensive player win it, but a defensive player would have to be just they would have to just be insane, and also on a team that's really good, because that is important that they factor that in. Absolutely factor that in. The quarterback play this year has been a bit disappointing, so it's unusual that it's this bad, but there it is. And the injuries aren't going to hurt, aren't helping. So, by the time the year is over with, we're going to look back on this and just go, where is everybody? Where is the dominant play? So, yeah, the score in the Monday night game, I think it's still 6-3, isn't it? Let's see here. It is amazing how much attention the Bears get, all because of the size of Chicago. Why can't Chicago just find a quarterback that can play? I just unbelievable. If they had a quarterback, just a decent quarterback in 2006, they would have won that Super Bowl. They just had a decent quarterback, just a decent guy. I'm not talking about anybody crazy or anything like that. Luke, I think that's in danger of happening. Luke says, hopefully Mahomes doesn't become the default MVP selection like Manning was. That unfortunately may become the thing. So let me tell you something. Right now the Chiefs are what people would consider struggling. Okay, blah blah blah. If they start to do really well and they get their shit together, everyone's going to credit that more so than sustained, consistent good play. So I think Patrick is always going to be given consideration just because he's Patrick Mahomes. So he fits the profile for what they're looking for. He's perfect, you know. The chosen one will never be Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is too black for them. So Jalen Hurts is an actual black guy. So he's not going to happen. He's not going to be the chosen one. They want to move off of white guys being the chosen one, but they need a guy like Patrick. Patrick is got the mix there. He's kind of the white dude that the white fans will follow, but he fits that the thing that they're trying to push, their agenda stuff. So they'll never make a Jalen Hurts or a Lamar Jackson. Let's say Lamar was just like playing out of his mind and kept being the Lamar Jackson from 2019. It wouldn't have mattered. They wouldn't have pushed him. They wouldn't have made him the darling. It's just not. It's not for them. You know. It's not how they do things. So they've got their guy. It's Patrick Mahomes. That's it. Straight up. They're not going to get behind. They're not going to get behind Jalen, no matter what he does. So the Eagles could win the Super Bowl this year. They could go back to the Super Bowl next year, have 3 straight Super Bowl appearances, and Jalen Hurts is not going to get the love that they're going to give to Patrick. They're just not going to do it. So it doesn't work that way for them because these people, the way they think and the way they make decisions is very, very strange and pathetic, actually. So there you go. And these are marketing decisions. These are about who they decide they want to push and who they want to make the golden boy and who they want to report and have great interviews with and do great videos on and stuff. They make those decisions. That's not just based off of being a good player. It's about who they chose, so unfortunately Patrick could be the default MVP guy when in those years where there's not a clear cut dude, you just throw it Peyton Manning's way. Patrick got a Super Bowl MVP like that in 2019. Peyton got a Super Bowl MVP in 2006 like that. So those are Super Bowl MVPs, but I'm saying the effect is the same, so. Of course not, Biox. That's absolutely true. Yeah, absolutely. Brock Purdy's never going to get any love, Ace. It doesn't matter what he does. Nope. The very moment he struggled, everybody was willing to take him out behind the barn and put a bullet in his head. Okay? How fast was that, right? How fast was that? Oh, okay, he's done. Although any other quarterback has had slumps. Any other quarterback has had times where they just had some issues and some things have happened. But they were ready just to put this guy away. And that quickly, right? So, no, he's got no shot. All right, guys, thanks for being here tonight. I know I surprised this on you, but I just wanted to get some things done, like I said, and talk about a few things, just get them off my chest instead of waiting the whole week. Congratulations again to Alpha Courage for winning the Xbox tournament. You have not until this Saturday, but the show after that to enter the next contest. If you're already on Patreon, you're already entered into it. If you want, you can up your monthly Patreon thing and get extra entries if you'd like to do that. But if you haven't signed up on Patreon yet, make sure to do that before so you can get in on the action this time in case you missed it. All right? Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Let's see. Yeah, so I guess I'll see you guys, barring anything crazy, any kind of crazy news or anything. I'll see you guys Saturday night. Okay?
Von Allen Sports on Patreon. Fuck you. I'm joining. If you're not watching Von Allen Sports, fuck you.
This is Patriots linebacker, Super Bowl 49 champ, Darius Fleming, and you're watching Von Allen Sports, real and honest NFL analysis. Subscribe now. Join the empire. Von Allen Sports, let's go!
Hi, this is tennis player Mariana Dragic, and you're watching Von Allen Sports, real and honest sports analysis. Subscribe now and join the empire. Von Allen Sports, let's go!